luxury mansions in this quarter, which house embassies and government ministries.
A estribor, el barrio Saint-Germain.
A tribordo, il quartiere Saint-Germain.
Ooh la la! Paris is always a good idea, with the Seine River moving through the city center, showing us gorgeous views of the Louvre Museum, Eiffel Tower, and a like-new Notre Dame.
But I wanted to see the rest of France. After all, Paris only comprises 0.02% of the landmass of this entire beautiful country. And we were about to go back in time, to the prehistoric times, to the medieval times, through World War II and the present day, where we visited a number of absolutely quaint villages that seem to be ageless in time.
Fontainebleau, France, is a charming town about 35 miles southeast of Paris. It's best known for its magnificent Château de Fontainebleau, a royal residence for centuries. With timeless French character, Fontainebleau dates back to Francis I and was one of Napoleon's favorite places to stay. One thing that France is known for is its many types of art styles and its artists. Barbizon, near Fontainebleau, is best known for creating yesterday's stars for pre-impressionism. Some of the artists even painted on the boarding house walls where they lived. We later met with an experienced watercolor artist who tried to create artists out of our group. I painted the birds and my husband the cherries. Did our teacher succeed in helping us create a masterpiece? We then went for a short walk in this famous forest. It was the inspiration for the Barbizon painters of the pre-impressionism period. This particular rock seems to look a little like an animal we all know. Wow, beautiful Giverny. It's best known as the home of Impressionist painter Claude Monet. We were able to tour his house, and then we walked through the gardens. As an amateur photographer, I was in awe of the beauty Monet created, not just on canvas, but in reality. This place was obviously Monet's inspiration for many of his masterpieces. As we continued our journey, we headed to Bayeux, a village of about 13,000 people. The town itself was spared destruction during World War II, so its cobbled streets, timbered houses, and cathedral still reflect its medieval roots dating back to around the 1st century BC. From cemeteries, we moved on to carousels and castles in Angers. We walked the quaint streets and learned a lot about its history. The city is recognized for its historic old town and charming half-timbered houses. Its impressive medieval heritage includes the Château d'Angers, a massive fortress housing a very famous tapestry. This artwork from the 14th century is roughly the length of 1.5 football fields. The next day, we drove to a 16th century chateau in the Loire Valley, inhabited since the Middle Ages. The grounds are especially famous for their elaborate Renaissance-era gardens. Want to meet some really great guys and learn how to play a really fun game? Well, then you're in luck, because that's what you do after visiting the chateau. Our next stop was a very somber one. It was here on June 10th, 1944, just 4 days after D-Day, that a German SS company slaughtered all but 5 of the 643 residents of Oradour and burned the entire village, leaving only husks of crumbling ruins. That night at our home visit, we were like the guests who never went home. We actually spent the night, and it turned out to be in a chateau. I guess everyone has a ballroom, right? We've now made it to the southwest of France and the beautiful medieval town of Sarlat. Back in the 12th and 13th century, it was a very important place for religion, trade, and culture. The old town remains largely unchanged since the 14th century, offering a vivid glimpse into the medieval life in rural France. On this beautiful day, the tourists were doing what the French love to do: take a seat in a cafe and have a drink and watch the people walk by, or maybe check out the food at a local market. Just outside the city is Rocamadour. It's built into the side of a cliff and is an important pilgrimage site. Have you ever wondered how all the stained glass windows throughout France have lived for so long? This woman here in this village is here to tell you. We then took a step back to prehistoric times at the Lascaux Caves. A video we all watched before our tour began shows prehistoric animals depicted on the walls and brings them to life. Drawings mostly include large mammals that lived in the area around 17,000 years ago. The most common drawings are of horses, wild cattle, deer, and bison. A bird species is often thought to be a duck or a bird of prey. It might have had symbolic or spiritual meaning rather than simply depicting wildlife. Only a few scientists are allowed to enter the actual cave. It's closed to protect it, but a very lifelike one is what you'll tour, as well as an interactive museum. Next, we visited some very interesting ruins. How'd you like to own a fixer-upper castle from the medieval times? Sorry, this one is not for sale. It is proudly owned by a French count who warmly welcomed us to his home, or one of them.
When did you start the excavation? The archaeology dig?
30 years ago.
Oh, 30 years ago. Okay. Wow. So it's young. Okay.
And you can see on the left.
The Camargue family has owned the property off and on since 1195, when Richard the Lionheart gave them the rights to the land. You can even climb to the top of the tower if you like. Later, we traveled to a local farm where the owner taught us a lot about foie gras, a local specialty. You can try it if you like. The next day, we rode a bus to a charming small village for lunch. It's called Albi. Albi is a small town along the Tarn River in southern France. It has a beautiful church and a castle nearby where the bishops used to live. A famous artist also used to call this home. Our next stop was Carcassonne, a fortified town dating back to the Gaul-Roman period. The Gauls lived here roughly from around 500 BC until the Roman conquest.
That's why the Romans were not doing any fortifications around these towns, these new towns.
The fortress decayed and stones were taken for building and parts collapsed. In the 19th century, it was nearly demolished, but a massive restoration saved it from ruin. Today, it is one of the best preserved medieval fortresses in Europe. Before leaving Carcassonne, we had to eat some more, right? We met with a famous pastry chef who literally works night and day to make these masterpieces. And thank goodness we did get to taste them. We then took the fast train to Lyon. And what did we do? Well, it's known as the food capital of France. First, we had to watch all the healthy people run 26.2 miles during the city's marathon. Lyon also moved us to World War II. This city played a vital role in the French resistance. We learned all about it with our tour leader, who has an interesting way of going downstairs. But Rudding is terrific. The resistance got around this town by using back roads and alleys. And there's memorials for those who died or removed to concentration camps. After a beautiful morning of watching other people run 26.2 miles and a long history lesson, it was time to visit a beautiful park during our free time. This one is in the center of Lyon, and it's almost 300 acres. I think this is a great place to take a nap. Looks like some other people agreed with me. So the next day we saw some sights and had a little food tasting. Pourquoi pas? Why not?
Exactly, I don't know what it is. And most of the time, this is not the best quality you could find because it's very young, it's too young, okay? Yeah, that's why I was saying I don't blame you.
My favorite was still the dessert. Back on another high-speed train, it was time to go to the City of Lights. We were on our way to Paris. It was an amazingly beautiful afternoon, and we took a ride on a boat right down the middle of Paris on the Seine.
右线是圣日耳曼区，这里有众多18世纪的公馆，如今是使馆和政府机关所在地。
And we did get to see a restored Notre Dame, simply ooh la la. And it was time to say au revoir to this beautiful trip. See you next time.